This is Sonic, and you're watching JD Frank 20.
What is up, everybody? And shoutouts to Senor for coming up with this interesting take right here. We better get the answer of the whole speculation of Sonic the Hedgehog Movie 3 of Project Shadow. He's did some detective work right here. He's come up with some scenarios dating from Sonic 1, 2, Knuckles, where we're at right here. Where Sonic the Hedgehog 1, there's been a Wakowski protecting this town for more than 50 years. Now, obviously, that was Sonic 1, so obviously, many probably didn't get the reference, and saying, whatever, probably means nothing. Then when you go to Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in the sequel, then you go towards the end scene when you see we found something. It's a file buried deep in our systems dating back to over 50 years, which was Project Shadow. Now, that made more sense to a lot of people who are knowledgeable of Sonic Adventure 2, saying, alright, that made sense. So you put 2 and 2 together, they said 50 years. Then in the Knuckles series, this one kind of threw me off for a loop. In the bowling tournament championship, 2 announcers actually mentioned that there was a visit by an extraterrestrial in the 1974 tournament, but I don't know that he was red. Project Shadow. So that right there, when you add up all these pieces together, they're all connecting the dots. Something happened 50 years ago, and when so most likely, Shadow was probably, enjoying life similar to how Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are, but something must have happened during that timeline. Are you implying that maybe Shadow, and Maria shared like an experience similar to how Knuckles and Wade did, just having some fun here and there? Yeah, so in 1974, what possibly happened 50 years ago? So what, Shadow and Maria were bowling? All right. That's so basically Shadow and Maria basically almost had the same bonding experience as all the other characters had. It's understandable, it's fine. But maybe, the government probably realized that Shadow was too much of a liability and they didn't want this information to get to leak. Remember, this was in 1974. Maybe they were living in a small town. Maybe they had a bowling alley, but nothing else. Now, there are theories saying who was the one who pulled the trigger. Now, if you look at Sonic 1, there was a possibility that Tom's father may have been the one to pull the trigger, because Shadow probably never forgot that image of who was the person who pulled the trigger that killed Maria. If you want to dig even deeper, how about this? Shadow and Dr. Eggman form an alliance together. Dr. Eggman knows about Tom. He knows about Sonic's whereabouts. And then when Shadow finds out, he could just say, you know what? These humans, they're the problem. What happened back 50 years ago? Me and Maria were just having fun here and there, and of course, the government thought I was a liability, and whatever happened. They put Shadow in cryostasis, back underground, and of course, Maria, she died unfortunately. And then Shadow is so vengeful, he decided, you know what, Dr. Eggman, I trust you, and then he introduces him to the Space Colony Arc and the Eclipse Cannon. But in all seriousness, I honestly think that's the direction they're gonna go. The Space Colony Arc has been mentioned. So that could basically lead to the events of how Shadow and Eggman met, and then they're plotting and scheming already. It would make sense when you think about it. Shadow wants to basically just destroy everybody after what happened 50 years ago, and the Eclipse Cannon is the key to that. And Eggman is going to say, perfect, I like it. When you put 2 people that dislike Sonic the Hedgehog, and of course Tom, it makes perfect sense. That's the best description I could give you right now. Let me know what y'all think about this, and I gotta go. Peace out.